That's all he needed.
He just needed to stay alive. 5 more seconds is all it took. He edits in, and that's a decision right there that he will never make that mistake again. Never in his life will he make a mistake like that. Peeking when you're up on Surge, your opponent is basically living on a prayer, especially when he rewatches that one. That's a lesson learned as Chubbs finds.
Oh, of course.
Oh, man, what a find. Bandages, med kits.
Campfire.
All he needs is s'mores, and he got himself a great day.
Great day indeed, and still a chance to stay in this game and continue the run they've been on.
Mac winning threats. Good consistent run for them as well. Continuously looking for Surge, trying to stay one step ahead of the curve. The rest of the lobby pulled a little bit more northwest again, and that's why they're just trying to set themselves up where they think most of the players are going to try to rotate from. That's where they're going to try to either weaken them, get their Storm Surge. Spade gets a huge amount of HP chunked out. Scold looking like he's about to go down, but a huge backfire, taking down both Chimp and Spade. Woozy and Scold are going to be one of those teams that are just ruining everybody's games here as they're trying to make a run for themselves.
Woozy and Scolds. We've seen how many times they've had to deal with Clix and Donnie in this game, or in this lobby, sorry. But in this game, where they don't have to worry about them, they finally have some room to breathe. They'll make their way into zone. Will they be able to capitalize on this currently way down there in the standings, but still plenty of potential to rise with a good game. I hope that Joji and Rokane aren't in their normal aggressive mood and looking to catch somebody out, because if they are, he's a couple tiles away.
That makes traveling on this stack side of the zone so hard. Even if you have a shockwave hammer, you still got to take it step by step, inch by inch, having to use a lot of resources to make sure you get there. Rokane and Joji don't even know Chubbs is just one box nearby, and you can see him biding his time, trying to peek at the perfect moment. And it does look they might have spotted him out, trying to use that pile of leaves, as much cover as possible. You see the augment, where he takes out his mythical tactical pistol out, and even celebrating it. I know you like that emote.
Yeah. I'm not gonna promo myself here, don't worry. Joji and Rokane are gonna move towards the zone. Still have a bit of time to go. There's Chubb still there in the background. And as he makes his move, they might be able to look and catch him out if they do look back. Cold is only a tile away in front of them, and so they need to be careful. They actually get a drop down, which isn't too bad, but they need to be very cautious of the team who is literally sharing that box with them. Cold and Acorn see a Nox body in the side, like, we want a bit of that action, and Rokane now actually gonna suffer as a result of it. Joji left alone in this one.
Doing everything he can, just backing down Cold.
He has the body, he has Rokane, so he might be able to get the res there.
That was a huge shot. Cold and Acorn know that the player's still weak. They know it's only one. As they go right in and finish that one off, sending Rokane and Joji back to the lobby as the Yamzone rise. Start their climb to the top, trying to gain high ground, but fourth zone a little bit too soon, but they're trying to set themselves up right now, so that way they can probably shockwave to the next side of zone, get the front side to steal it away from a lot of these teams, but they hear Stacky down low. They know that player's there. They're trying to take advantage while they can, but instead, Yamso just finds the loot. He's trying to take what little reward that he can and set himself up.
What do we have here? You can see Cold and Acorn. The moment they realize, hey, we ain't letting you guys get that res, better think twice. And maybe now a redemption game for this duo as Cold and Acorn, who, again, for people who maybe haven't been tuned in all of this season, they were one of the biggest favorites in NA East coming into FNCS, and it just hasn't quite gone that way for them so far in the competitions. But here in week 3, maybe a chance to properly announce themselves to the rest of the lobby.
The 16-time FNCS finalist, Kanata. I feel like he's probably one of those prolific players yet to hold the axe of champions, but hey, this could be his season. Already going to be in the grand finals, the FNCS Major 1, just needs to be able to seal the deal. And I think that's why you see him and Agers playing so hard, testing themselves, because they know that finals lobby is going to be just as hard, if not harder. So every single second you can get to practice matters as Chubb's peeking through the cone, trying to gather all that information. Does he know that Kanata and Agers are that close nearby?
Out it, man. If anybody's close by to D-Roller in the form he's in this game, they might have a couple issues on hand. D-Gent in the distance is going to fall at the hands of Macwood, that is, and so D-Roller not able to pick that one up. Jackson with him as well. Ed and Miro, though, still alive, still moving. But unfortunately for Ed, he's moved into the wrong spot. As our player's looking at him, and HP is going to be sparse right now. If he can create some space and get some time, he does have the means to get his HP and shields back up.
So because of that pressure, you can see them expend a lot of resources, a lot of mats. But luckily for them, they have time and they have the high ground to go ahead and figure out what they want to do next. But that's going to be a far pull away from them into a stacked front side of the zone as Chubbs, as a solo, still trying to put the pressure there. Storm Surge still being active in this lobby, and Chubbs doing a good job of staying above it. 258, bouncing around, trying to find himself that sweet spot, something to work with here in the situation. Forced down low just a little bit. But for him, it's not too much of a worry because he still has that shockwave hammer. They need a refresh, and they need it bad.
Yeah, they need one desperately in this game. It's not going to be enough with what they have right now. And so, with desperate times call for desperate measures. What are they going to have to do? Cold and Acorn, though, not maybe the optimal hammer there for Cold, but nevertheless, they will still be able to start making their way on towards zone. Chubbs, though, again, not necessarily having the cleanest of rotations there. But nevertheless, even as a solo, still in this game.
Really making magic happen here. Yamzone Rise trying to knock out the door, but they have to rotate too, so they have to really disengage out of this one. You can see them setting themselves up with one shockwave hammer between the two. They have to think outside of the box here, but still finding a way to stay hip to hip and travel to the front side of zone. But if you look at the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Macwood and Threads. This could be their moment to have that pop-off performance I was asking for.
And that's exactly where Macwood wants to be. It's where he's always wanted to be. And as they're picking up the limbs here, it's going to be a good game for Macwood and Threats. You've got to think, but can they hold on? We've seen so many times different teams looking good in this position, but not managing to do the business, to finish the job. Rise cannot finish the job there. He's going to leave Yomzo alone in this one. And you can see where he's sitting right now. He's hoping that somebody will just walk into his sights and give him the freest elimination ever. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, so he's going to have to get creative.
Cold and Acorn trying to do the same thing. You can see Cold holding the covers, Acorn splashing them up, making sure they know they have enough shield and HP to make this rotation happen. As Chubbs, he gets bounced out, going to the front side of zone, sacrificing some HP to give himself a little bit more safety on the front side, looking up, trying to catch somebody slipping, dropping him down to his box. He's looking for a refresh. He knows that his end is inevitable if that one doesn't come to fruition, but his patience is key here as Cold finds an elimination on the reciprocal, catches him slipping, spots a few other players on the other side of that cover, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Bypass everybody, get to the front side, and continue to look back.
Things are finally looking on the up for this team. They're finally getting into their rhythm, but what is that going to lead to? Chubbs, I don't know how he's managed to stay alive. There's actually players having fights right above him, and he's only in a wood cone. It's not like he's invisible here, but nevertheless, he's holding his patience. The trigger finger is phenomenal from him, and he's going to use the hammer just to sort of move his way on out there, out of the way. No more players now in his vicinity, in his box. But actually decided maybe I want to get right back into the action. He's only got the 0 builds, and so he has to hit something massive.
It's going to be a real test for him to figure out how much longer he can survive in a situation like this. Ultimate low ground, still peek and choose, and gets out of the lobby as Pump is going to be the one alive here in the situation like this. Kanata and Agers, they got a hill to climb, but they're trying to get to the front side. Macwood and Threads from 7th zone to 8, trying to hold on and force everybody down below that mountain. This is a huge opportunity for them, but they don't have a ton of pressure to put out.
Yeah, and you can see just how aggressive Threats is getting, and there's a reason why there's teams like this one right here in the midst of fights all on these layers. Thatch doesn't have Pamsu with him, and so having to resort to some of his key solo play, Acorn and Cold, they're going to keep it moving. Though there is a player, or a team, sorry, I should say, on this layer that they have to worry about. That's going to be Trashy and Pump, but they're going to pick up the eliminations just before they can, stealing them away, and then maybe even looking to initiate a fight onto them. The hammer play knocking everybody up and around. Macwood and Threats, can they hold on to high? Cold's going to make it a bit more difficult for them, and Macwood actually falls. And so all of a sudden, things looking on the upper hand. Magwood, oh my goodness, Acorn now in the mix of things, and he's falling into a box he shouldn't have.
And it's going to be a great opportunity for the Solos to really take advantage. Threats trying to stagger himself towards the back, probably picking up loot that Macwood left behind. Agers, does anybody know he's a solo? He could steal away this game. Trashy and Pumped, only duo left alive. Caskers, the solo, losing clarity just moments ago, getting themselves into the top 3. They got him knocking on their door, though. It's Trashy. He comes down. Shockwave galore. Out goes Threats. Out goes Pump. Caskers gets Shockwave Hammer outside of zone, and Trashy and Pump take the game.
Trashy and Pump doing it in style. He didn't even have to use his actual shotgun or AR or anything to pick up the final limb. He just said, look, let me show you what my Shockwave Hammer can do. Nicely done there as well to clean up the game. In those final moments, Jacob, we didn't know who was going to be able to take it. It was a mix and match between everybody in that lobby, but it was Pump and Trashy who came out victorious.
From Desi in game 1 last week, Mr. Savage all over social media, and now Trashy. That Shockwave Hammer is something a lot of people just don't expect to happen. And you can see a thumbs up and then right back to business. Week to week, this man knows the job is not done. That's only game 4.
That might be the first time I think we've seen in the FNCS somebody do a no-look to finish a game and win it out like that. That is clean, that is stylish, that is exactly what I want to see from a team who we all have very high expectations of, and they're delivering right now.
Yep, and with another game going down to the wire, tossing everybody into a washing machine, into the dryer, tumble dry, everybody's getting tossed around, and it's only 3 people that can lead us to the promised land. Zeke, Vivid, Taco, where do we stand?
Thank you guys so much. Another fantastic game, and very quickly, let me introduce Vivid, who's going to be hanging out with us for the last set of games here on the day. My goodness. The Shockwave Hammer, no-look fadeaway. All right, see ya, you know?
Man, that was like the one point I was going to make, right? All the analysts that I had in my mind right there, it was all about the no-look. Levin stole it, Zeke stole it, I don't even know. I'm at a loss of words after watching that.
I mean, I might as well double down on it at this point just to make sure that you're the only one that doesn't get a chance to say it. Yeah, that fadeaway was honestly tough.
Well, we'll take a look at our standings and see how things are kind of shaking up. Remember, we do still have 2 games left to go, so nobody panic. Everything's okay. But take a look how people are moving up and down that leaderboard. Miro and Ed the Great to the second. Still looking good, right? Haven't moved. Bryce as well alongside Chubbs. These guys are staying strong. Agers and Kanata, though. Threats and Macwood. These guys are looking for that top spot.
A lot of big development that game there, Zeke. I mean, the biggest thing for me had to be that at one point in time, there was like 4 teams battling out for high ground, it seemed like, right? Unfortunately, though, for some of those teams, they didn't all get it. Macwood and Threats did come out on top of that. But while all that was going on, right, Kanata and Agers taking full advantage of that in the mid-ground.
They've really just made sure to keep everything kind of all mixed up there in the mid-ground because we saw a lot of congestion actually starting to take place from those teams that were trying to work their way through that hill pool from the moving zone. It's really just a tough spot for a lot of these teams to be in, but for Kanata and Agers, they just made it look so smooth.
I mean, smooth is definitely the right word to use there because, I mean, look at this. Another example of them making it into the end game, having no eliminations, but every single game, they are still fine on Storm Surge. And the biggest talking point there for me is that, you know, they're landing over at faulty splits, and there's like nobody landing around them. And we've seen in the past weeks that they were so reliant on their Storm Surge coming from those teams around them. But in these games, they have to make those early rotations, but they're still finding the damage done. So I love how dynamic this team can be on a whim's notice.
Exactly. You would expect it to be a tough position to be in, but regardless of the circumstances, they still managed to make it work. And I remember even spanning all the way back to week 1, you discussing, I want to see more elims from these guys, and they're still managing to find them when it matters most.
I was wrong. They don't need them.
They don't need them. That's right. There you go. Another duo, Acorn and Cole, breaking into that top 10, right? With 2 games left to go, they're finally saying top 5, top 1, that's what we want to strike.
Levin was talking about, you know, coming into the season, everybody's like, that's the duo. That's the one right there. And, you know, throughout these weeks, they haven't necessarily been showing us their best performances, but maybe they're saving them for finals. But this game right here specifically, I believe it was 7th zone. Look at these mats. How on earth do you have that many materials? And this just led them straight into the end game. But they were still not afraid, even with so many materials, to go for some of these eliminations.
But it's still kind of crazy to think about the fact that Cold, he might have those 10 splashes, and it still is just so problematic in terms of finding opportunities to actually get a breathing room space to utilize them. It kept them going for a little bit longer, but it's just amazing how fast your resources are actually expended throughout these moving zone territories.
It was so close, Taco, as well, right? Like, it it looked for a moment right there at the end. That shockwave hammer play came out. He went out onto the zone, found a huge shot on the Macklin, and Threats literally looked like he had 1 HP. Ended up finding the shot on the Acorn. That was, I mean, it was just so close, right?
I was going to say, I don't even know if it was intentional either, but that was a little bit clean as well, where he had the back-to-back bounce off the wall. I mean, whether the stars just aligned for him in that instance or not, it still just looked awesome.
It's all skill, right? That's clear. It's clearly skill. That's all.
At least when it works out.
Yeah, when it's not me, it's clearly skill. And then once again, we have to highlight Trashy, right? A victory royale in one of the coolest ways we've seen on the day. Remember, we had a chance to talk to these guys at the very start of the show, right? And you could tell Trashy was given maybe a little bit of short answers, but now I can tell why. They're locked in. They are so focused on what they have to do today.
I mean, seemingly so in this game. Trashy Pump. No, honestly, I didn't even see their names, right? They weren't making any, like, big waves in this endgame or anything like that. Just kind of thriving throughout and letting all that chaos into that we just talked about between Acorn and Cold, Macwood and Threats. And they're like, oh, listen, all these teams on high ground, they want to fight for it. We'll join the party and we'll just take the victory royale.
And I think what helped them slide by there is the fact that this zone honestly pulled right into their backyard. So they made sure to make the most of it.
And just keep in mind, even with a performance like that, as stylish as it is, they're still not in that top 10, right?
Wow.
So,
yeah,
things to consider here with 2 games left to go. We just need another performance like that, and we could hit that top 10. We now have seen time and time again, you just need one good game to change everything.
But as far as Trashy and Pump are concerned, I mean, we've seen multiple instances of it. I'm sure they're not the only ones looking for it.
Zeke's making it sound easy, guys. It's not. This is an FNCS lobby, so, you know, give these guys a break.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's so much talent here in NA East. A lot of these players are feeling that, right? It just kind of takes that moment. I don't know, like, to me, it seems like sometimes players kind of get in their own heads, but when they kind of let go, we get moments like that. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot to think about, right? 3rd week of the FNCS. Some of these teams are literally fighting for their spot in Grand Finals and Surge Week, so we'll have to see how this plays out.
Oh, man. Well, guess what? Only 2 games left to go. How will this all conclude? Will we get more shockwave fadeaways? Let's find out. This is game number 5.
4 down, 2 to go. And with the pressure of your season coming to an end, it comes down to these final moments.
But I don't want to hear about pressure, Jacob. I said it at the start of the day, and I'm going to say it now. You have to deliver. If you want to be in the big boy lobbies, you got to perform at your best. And a lot of these players in this lobby have shown us they can do that. For the ones who maybe quite haven't, you still do have time. We have 2 more left on the way, and 2 that I'm very excited to see.
Yep, and where you're at in the leaderboard matters so much, but you don't have time to think about it. The battle bus is ready. Game number 5 is upon us, Levin. And I gotta ask you, depending on where you're at in the leaderboard, if you need that spot in Surge Week, do you ramp up your gameplay? Do you hunt for those eliminations, or do you play to your plan?
If I'm Suscript, I just try and win off spawns. That's my first priority. That's my first line of thought. Sinks is going to go down, and so that makes that somewhat possible. And I feel like we've seen this a number of times where Blue is now in a situation where he has to try clutch 1v2. Will Blue do it? The question that is yet to be answered and will finally be answered. It's unfortunately not going to be possible because Haji and Suscript are on a tear when it comes to this off-spawn battle.
Yeah, you can see the bait and switch come out. Suscript taking the brunt of the damage at first. Then Haji going in. Users in Polarize. Not that same off-spawn that you would expect since the last game. Bizzo and Blake trying to change things up. But over here, Rexo and Rapid, they're going to end up in a 1v1 situation. I think Rexo is going to try to bait out the revive. Rapid does have the height, dropping down low onto the steps, ends up toe-to-toe, takes out Rexo, and saves the day for him and Serves and their journey throughout the rest of the day.
That was nice. Nicely done. And of course, the key factor to that is that you get a chance to play out a game together as a duo. If the game's running out, that becomes all the more important. Acorn and Cold, we were waxing lyrical about them. And an impressive last game, one that pushed them into the top 10 understandings. Can they even push higher to close things out? Of course, the team that we were going to expect to see in the FNCS final. But nevertheless, going out in style would definitely be the way to do it. Over at 40 though, trouble in paradise, Jacob.
Yep, that was Agers who went down to Users. On this side as well, you saw Rokane and Joji go down. But Faulty splits, and with so many teams contesting, I would expect nothing less than all-out action to really start it off. But Kanata is really going to be tested yet again. I talk about these little moments. Even though he already has a spot clinched, it's all about that practice. He's a 16-time finalist and going ahead and trying to win that big one. As Walkers and Vert, they're trying to give themselves as much loot as possible. They haven't caught that same fire that we've seen him in weeks practice, but with 2 games left, there's plenty of time to get themselves on a roll. Polarizing users. We saw this one go down right out of the gates between Blake and Bizzle. A few more seconds, maybe even a minute later than last time, but the end result's going to be the same. Button heads, making sure somebody doesn't make it out of this one. As the big bush bomb already down, Polarize has to pick and choose whether he wants to peek, get into the box as Blake is firing from below. The shots are there. Polarize just too much to go ahead and take down Blake, leaving Bizzle by himself. They just bum rush into the box. Bizzle and Blake out again.
That one felt personal, man. Polarizing users just tearing it up there. Of course, no love lost with that celebration at all. Macwood and Threats over at the Lonely Labs. And a lonelier day at the labs, because typically across these weeks you've seen them have to fight off spawn here a couple times, but in this game that won't be an issue.
Interesting to see what they're going to be able to do now that they are uncontested. Does this switch up their game plan? Lack and Surge as Bylox ends up against Kanata. Sneaky play, trying to strike while the iron's hot. He knows the player's weak, not wanting to let the splashes or any heals go off. Kanata is on the chase, but he reunites the users. Kanata ends up in the box anyway, and he ends up back to the lobby. Luckily for them, they had a great start.
The mad thing is, yeah, when he walks into that box with 2 players, I think to myself,
He can still do it.
yeah, like in most instances, you go like, yeah, he's about to go down. But for a moment, I thought, this is Kanada we're talking about here. Nevertheless, they're going to have to hit the drawing board, come back stronger for the last game. As we switch gears, though, Andrew Square, Clicks and Donny, they're looking for revenge. Of course, their run here was cut short in Game 4. But now a chance for redemption against a team that did it. Skulls is on the receiving end of some Clicks pressure. His teammate Ruzi's going to look to try and redeem him, and now a 2v1 situation without Matze. He's going to need Donny to come to the rescue fast.
You can see him immediately give up that high ground, knowing he cannot continue to challenge it. Uzi and Skull just trying to use their numbers. Donnie gets chopped down. Takes some fall damage as well, along with shield. Uzi back-to-back shots, making things happen for him and Skulls as the Donnie and Clicks continuously fall down to the low ground. They separate him and they take out Donnie. Now it's all up to Clicks yet again, who disengaged long ago, trying to pick up some scraps because right now he's lacking shields, and Woozy and Skulls are on the hunt and they've already spotted him out. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and after getting picked apart here in the earlier games, it looks like Woozy and Skulls have finally got their number. Another game where Clicks and Donnie go down in a bit of a taunting there, you'd say, from Woozy. I don't know if that's going to go down well with the Clicks fans. I'm going to start rising in a second if he doesn't cut that out. Aoxy and Swell, I can assure you they're not here to bowl. They want to do a bit more than just that. Hylox and User might find out what exactly that is as Aoxy starts to take some shots again in one of these scrappy fights over towards this Faulty Splits area.
That guy's just trying to top himself off. He built himself a little bit of cushion. Those pieces are his. He knows if they're going to try to push through. He does have the time. Aoxy trying to get an additional angle. But on the other side, Moon and Braze just waiting in the wings for Aoxy or anybody really to step through that door. But nobody really taking that one just yet. Aoxy and Swirl hears those players that were once enemies disengaging off of this one. And then Braze and Moo, they're slowly but surely sneaking up into this exchange. Aoxy gets spotted out. 50. His shields just go right out the window. That was a huge double tag by Moo and Braze. They make that teamwork and take him down altogether.
Yeah, he didn't see it coming. He had no clue at all. And it's a shame they weren't actually able to clean him up because it was a well-timed thing that they had going on there. But nevertheless, for Moo and Braids, there is still plenty of hope in this game. You've got to think, though, that it's probably somewhere away from 40 with just how many teams. Like, oh, it feels like half the lobbies at 40 Splits right now.
And this is just a massive switch up of zones because of that. We got a southeast zone hovering a little bit over Faulty, which kind of explains why so many teams are kind of using that as an opportunity. There's so much time before a zone begins to push them in. Chimp and Spade, they got a little bit of that luxury as well. They're already on the south side. For them, it's just gathering up that surge because they know rotation isn't necessarily the most important thing for them right now because of how close it actually is. They just want to get their surge, set themselves up for the long game.
I like how you said we have a south side zone there. It's a bit of an understatement, mate. Half the zone is just water. It's not even on the map. Faulty Splits is like the only place people can even be, it feels like, which is why there are so many people there, right? But yeah, we'll see how this one develops. It's a good chance that because of the nature of the zone, the next zone, the second one, is going to pull towards that Faulty Splits area. There aren't many areas it can go to unless we're going to have a full water zone, which again is just not happening, is it?
Does that hurt or help any of the teams that are already in, specifically Faulty? Obviously, they're already fighting for their surge, so it's not going to be a worry for them. But anybody that might have that split drop, do you think it pulling towards them this far towards the south helps?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly, I think it can. Especially, like you said, if you're a team that has your surge figured out, you don't need necessarily any more in terms of the two. But whatnot, you should be pretty good. And of course, sitting in a position that's going to be very prominent for the rest of the game is never too bad of a thing.
2 chances left. This is game 5. Next one, the final one, game number 6. You can kind of see the picture being painted. Hey, you didn't think it would go a little bit more south, but guess what? It just went a little bit more south. So all those teams at Faulty are now even going to have to rotate. Luckily for them, at least they're rather close by. But for Yamzo and Rise, they're trying to get their surge so that way they can focus on their rotation. For them, it's going to be a little bit of a journey, not too much that they can't handle, but when it comes to surge, they don't want to have to rotate and go for those shots.
You can see here some of the scrappiness that takes place along the edge of the zone line with how far it's been of a pull. A lot of these players are going to have to make use of each other if they want to try and get surge.
Sorry to see the Jelly Angler augment from Shonye and Polo. Shadow bombs coming in. So picking and choosing wisely to try to add different elements to their game plan. So it's going to be very, very important for them to really kind of utilize the position that they're in right now, the little bit of water. But I say that very loosely because half the zone's still in water.
Half the zone is still in water indeed. Whoever's controlling the zones this game, they're real jokester, they are. Either way, right, there is plenty more going on in and around the map. And fortunately for us, we have the wonderful Jenny Smiles to fill us in on what Miro has got going on this game.
Thanks, Levin. Yes, so Miro here, they have landed West Citadel, and you can see the storm has pulled very, very south. And they have to make sure that they take care of that storm damage for tags well before getting there. So they have done this here. He's gotten all that damage done, and again, he's using that Chili Chug Splash to run and head to zone.
Yeah, of course, these guys have been so locked in today's games, so consistent in their approach to make it deep into this one. And a large part of that is being able to deal with surge early on, right?
And I like one thing Jenny pointed out is that Chug Splash, the Chili Chug Splash. They don't have any other rotation, and with how far the zone is actually pulling, I like them really thinking outside of the box, taking the sacrifice in HP, so that way they can try to get the zone as fast as possible. More than half of the zone overall is going to be pretty congested, stacked up with teams as Walkers and Vert trying to make up for lost time. 138 above the damage threshold. It's not going to be the most important thing for them to go after, but you know they have the potential to pop off at a moment's notice, just like Trashy and Pump. 101 points on the up and up. And this is going to be a good opportunity for them to gather their surge, 54 above, but not going to be too much of a worry for them because they know how to find the tags that they need.
Yeah, they have been so effective in doing so across all 3 weeks of the qualifiers. Of course, the quick stat there just letting us know they're the only team to actually win in one of their games in every single session that we have watched across these past 3 weeks, which again is a big testament to just how consistent they are and how clued in they are to this season and this meta. The Cascade clarity, the journey into the safe zone is going to be one that is very difficult for them, and not one that they'll shy away from, especially when there are eliminations to be had along the way. The question will be, can they survive the pressure from the players who are sitting on that beach?
I felt bad. They were just trying to go for a swim on a nice summer day in the beach, and you got two sharks in the water just eating them up in the blink of an eye. As Ed and Miro just looking for Pilly's plunder. And I like it because they're already stacked on loot. They're going ahead and taking this extra time. They have their Storm Surge. So they're just trying to really get themselves that bit extra. Right now, they're about 99%. They're trying to give themselves that one bit.
Well, the big thing as well, right, is with the way the zones have pulled all the way towards the very southeast of the map, the entire lobby is literally chilling around faulty splits, right? So many players are there. Where they are, down south of, you know, the fields, they can just swim all the way into dead side of the zone where there's literally quite nobody here in the lobby. And so, again, another game where things are looking set up for them to have a very, very good game if they can execute things well.
Only time will tell at the end of the day. And a team that's looking to kind of solidify the rest of their day with a good game here in game number 5 and possibly another one in the next is Chimp and Spade. One of the more consistent teams we've seen throughout the day. And you can see, just looking back, gathering the information, trying to figure out what that next rotation is going to be for everybody in the game right now. Gathering the information before the rotation comes through is important. You got to see who needs to rotate first. If you can stagger yourself back, and for Yamzo and Rise, they're already in the zone. They're built up, a nice tower, a lot of comfortability for them as they continue to look all around for these teams that have to rotate in from the north, from the western side of the map.
Yeah, they just have to connect with the shots, though. Yomzo out receiving end of some damage. It's fine, of course, right? They do have the shield keg there, and that at least would have been some incentive for him to overpeak just the slightest for Chubbs and Bryce. Hopefully this game, they can stay as a duo. Of course, we saw Chubbs and his heroics in previous so long, and he did a brilliant job at that, to be fair, so big shout out to him. But with Bryce by his side, the potential for them to have a big game is just maximized by a large amount.
That's where Miro and Ed continue to do exactly what he said. They spotted out Encrypted, trying to do the same thing, but Casca and Clarity hearing all that action, they're low on surge. They're trying to make up for it, barely getting above. Miro and Ed going to be the players on the receiving end of that one, and they actually get Encrypted outside of zone.
And the problem with their plan, the plan was, you know, in theory, quite an effective one. The problem is, right, is when you have a team like Casca and Clarity sitting up above on the cliff, just holding you, stopping you from being able to swim your way on in, it just makes it so awkward. The good thing is now, though, Clarity and Casca are starting to move. They realize they have to get to zones themselves. And so that will allow Ed and Miro to just use the ridge along the beach to make their way on in. And they're going to have to hope that they can't be spotted by Casca and Clarity. You see there, as long as they stay tucked in against the cliff, the vision of that Clarity and Casca will have of them isn't going to be too significant. And so it just allows them to sneak into zone here. Now they can start building with their brick in the metal to keep themselves secure.
And because it was Cascers and Clarity who initially spotted them out there, take note of where they're rotating to. They're making sure that they can keep eyes on those players that are right down below. French Canadian. Love to see them reunite here for FNCS, just the nick of time. It wouldn't be the same without them. Let me tell you that much, and setting themselves up for a perfect game. 2 different forms of rotation, Shockwave Hammer and the Chili Chug Splashes. All they need to do is continue to push forward. Once they get past 5th, 6th zone, that's when it all comes together as Miro's chopped down, little HP, downed all together. It's Casca and Clarity who dropped down from above. I said their rotation, they were shadowing them through and through.
They were shadowing them, they were watching from above like hawks, but then deciding to drop down in and go in for the fight. That takes some courage, but it pays off. They take down the team that has been an absolute problem for everybody in the lobby so far today. Well played there from Clarity and Casca.
That was well played indeed, but that's why there are that little bit of a dark horse. When you least expect them, they're really just going to take a bite out of you altogether. Spamso and Fast continuously looking bound. Acorn and Cold box to box with Cam, who's there, and you can see them sacrificing a little bit of HP so that way they can get the scraps necessary to continue themselves. And they have themselves a little bit of a slow side as well. Not exactly the same as Clarity and Casters just have overtaken, but at least it's something to work with.
Cam is one of my favorite solo players to watch, and so I'm sure he'd rather have Jiggly Flopper alive with him. But if he could have one of his crazy solo plays. That will definitely be a sight to behold. Also, the ways to go to get to zone, it's going to be tough as he makes his way up this hill.
Acorn and Colt is not a duo I would want to necessarily follow, but I can see he's trying to recycle. Really be efficient with his resources. Yamzo and Rise trying to do the same thing. A little bit of separation between the two, but that's just they can easily target out a few different players, and Cam's going to be the one that comes across. And that's what it's going to be hard for Cam to survive. Jackson DeRoller there. Shadow is there. Hide and seek. Trying to seek his way in. Acorn is there into the distance as well. But Yamzo and Rise see that one coming from a mile away. Immediately Shockwave Hammer getting himself a little bit more comfortability when it comes to the zone.
Comfortability, that sense of safety is key. But when you have DeRoller near you, how safe can you really be is the question. As he takes hide and seek down. Needs to be careful because Shadow and Sphinx are right here, and they're looking to claim walls, cones, pieces in everybody's boxes, but they need to be careful themselves because there's somebody else on their back. They're never too safe in these lobbies.
They tunnel vision just a little too hard, and a huge flank is going to discombobulate them for a moment. Trying to find some sort of stability here in a situation like this is so important. Even dropping down low into a previous layer that was theirs. On the other side of that one's D-Roller as a solo. Acorn and Cole, they're trying to chase, take a bite out of that one. Stuck between two different players, and even Pamso and Fatch go down to the elimination feed. Their run comes to an end, and this one is going to be a far pool for at least 5 different players, 3 different teams.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough rotation. Who's going to make the first move?
Serves by himself as well. Chubbs and Bryce, 249 points, trying to stay consistent. The decision here to go after a player or try to continue to make it towards the end game for Chubbs and Bryce could be the difference between first place and falling down the leaderboard.
A big opportunity for them though to start to gain a lead. If they could have the big pop-off game, we talked about how Chubbs was able to hold on clutch as a solo. As a duo though, the power they possess is huge. Not greatly above on Surge, and so they're gonna have to deal some damage. The good thing is though that there are players and they can sort of capitalize on and target. For Fretz and Macwood, can we see them look to play for height again? That's what I love to see them. That's when they're in their element. But they just need to deliver. They just need to hold on in the key moments.
It's very telling right now to see how patient they're being. It's easy to get antsy in a situation like this with all the action going around, all the duos entering the boxes. But for them, they're just playing slow and steady, knowing the opportunity is going to come sooner or later. Is everybody getting kind of pushed around by the zone? Serves still that solo that's right below Chubbs and Bryce, and almost makes him what he has an apple there. He can 5 HP, and you know, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Come on, Chubbs.
Is that bothering you that he's not eating the apple?
He eats the apple. I got my bet on him to win the game. Keeping all the doctors away.
Look, it would go a long way. But now imagine he goes down and the difference is 5 HP, right? That's what you think can hold him.
And Epic Thunder Shocking could do just that, 195.
Hey, look, Acorn and Cold don't have the Epic Thunder Shotgun, but they do have the Shockwave Hammer. We know how important that is as they move forward throughout this game. Once the zone starts closing on their back, they're going to have to use it to start moving on in.
And immediately trying to get to the front side of zone. They're experts in their own mind. You see Macwood and Threats using the aerial as augment, trying to get to the front side of zone and steal away height yet again. You called it yourself. This is one of those teams that you can find on a consistent basis, trying to be the team to play height and immediately target out that second layer. That was Skolds who got dropped down low. That is very, very important for their success.
But if they want to hold on to it, they're going to have to start to put a distance between them and the rest of the lobby. We know how easy it is to disrupt height with hammers. Got to start to build up and separate yourself with a couple layers. Down below though, Chimp and Spades, there's not much separation between him and a bunch of very hungry players. So he needs to keep on running through, make sure he gets his way into the zone unseen. Chubbs though, closely following behind Cole. Not able to connect though. Walkers and Bert though are very, very close by.
Yeah, 120 below the damage threshold. They're just hoping these players take each other out, so it's not something they have to work with. Macwood did go down. Him and Threats are trying to get themselves back into the game, and the high ground goes on over to Trashy and Pump in the 7th moving zone. They have plenty of resources to work with if they want to try to hold on to it. A Shockwave Hammer as well, as Trashy uses it to get to the front side of zone, and that's going to be huge for them to connect and hold on to that cloud in the sky.
Oh my goodness, Clary. We know just how effective he can be at this stage of the game, especially with that mythic pistol in hand. And for a moment, I thought it was going to be crazy, but maybe we are starting to see the beginning of a big game for this duo. Trashy and Pump, though, the winners of the last game, they currently sit in the dominant position in this lobby.
Yeah, and for Clarity and Casker, that elimination onto Miro and Ed early on is their life in this one. They got themselves back up. I might have spoke too soon. 1 HP. Clarity gets tagged up in the nick of time. Chili Chug Splash is going out, being used by both of these players, and it's almost like it never happened as they were trying to shockwave, get to the front side. Bryce was chopped down low, and it's all up to the Chubs. Pressure is on. Finds Duke slipping. A huge refresh and a huge siphon, but he gets greedy, goes for it, and gets taken out.
The loot was a trap that he walked right on into. The Zone Rise, though, down below again, trying to claim this layup, but they have teams in their way. I feel like I've seen them in this spot one too many times, but it's finally going to be the game where they can completely clear things out.
It's going to be a great opportunity as they have ultimate low ground. But talk about opportunity. They run out of resources. They run out of builds. They're trying to look back, catch anybody out of position. Caskers gets dropped. Now it's all up to Clarity to gather as many points as he can. Shockwave hammering, trying to get up and out. Almost narrowly survives, but it was Yamzo who gets the last laugh. Down goes Walker and Burt as well. Stacky, he's trying to do it as a solo, as Fazo was down as well. So many teams losing their duos, forced to play this one out as a solo.
That is so difficult with all these teams trying to move up elevation, blocking each other. Stacky with a big shot onto Rise. That's exactly what he needs to do. Can he pick up Yomzo? The finish comes through. Is he going to hit him? He's trying to flank, and he gets here. Come on, man. That's too easy. You can't let Stacky get that. But he eventually will fall, not before doing a bunch of damage and a couple of bigger limbs.
One of the teams with the biggest ceiling, though. They already have a game on their hands. Trashy and Pump. Can they be the first team to win 2 on the day? It's looking like it. They have the recipe for success. They're putting as much pressure as they can onto the low ground. Visuals gets dropped. Sculpt gets taken out. Braids gets 2. He's trying to make some miracles happen, but he gets taken out as well. It's all up to Suscript as a solo in a world full of duos.
And with Shadow hitting the kind of shots they're hitting right now, you eventually think that Suscript's going to walk right into their trap. And will he have an answer? Sphinx is there waiting. Shadow is there by his side as well. And the shockwave isn't going to be enough to save them. But right is where you want to see Pump and Trashy up again, trying to do the 2-time. Can they do it? Trashy falls, so he's in a bit of trouble. He needs the help of his teammate, but his teammate will come through. Shadows gets taken out, and Trashy and Pump, they're looking for the 2-time. They want to get another one.
They did it. They made it happen. They got separated in that short moment, even the backside of zone. But teamwork makes the dream work. They reunite yet again. Sphinx goes for the play, but it's not enough to overtake Pump and Trashy, who get their second victory royale in the day.
I have no words to describe this duo right now. Excellently done, up above, on height, making things look so easy, Jake.
I'm just looking, I'm waiting. I got to imagine a double thumbs up coming out from them. Just controlling the game. When opportunity struck, they take away height and solidify it through and through. Suscript trying to take it away. He gets denied. Even when push came to shove, Trashy and Pump got separated. Pump wasted no time, reunited, getting the knock on the Shadow, which was very huge and instrumental for the rest of their game.
It makes me so much fun as well. I'm like you, I want to see the thumbs up. I want to see the reaction if we're going to get one. And again, the double thumbs up. Easy as you like. And right back to business. This is a duo that everybody in this lobby and everybody in NA East should fear going into the final.
Yeah, they have insane amount of potential. Their ceiling is extremely high. It's that consistency week to week that amazes me as well. There's so many different variables for this squad, and they're checking off all the boxes.
Not just consistency, they're seemingly getting better every time, right? Of course, in week 1, 15th, you know, week 2, 3rd. Are they going to finish higher than that today? It certainly looks like it's possible, but the people that can evaluate that the best are going to be the analysts, so we're going to send it back to Zeke.
The back-to-back coming out of Trashy and Pump. And the biggest question for me is we had talked about them not being in that top 10. We have to see, though, there it is. 8 places, 2 games. These guys have now jumped into your top 10. That is what we like to see, as our casters just talked about. They have everything, man. They have every check mark that could be available to you as, are you a competitive player? If yes, check this box. They've got them all locked down.
Yeah, you know what's incredible, Zeke? We've actually played 5 games today. Unfortunately for Trash and Pump, they didn't actually make it into one. So if you do the math real quick, 1 thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, 2 victory royales. So per thumbs up, we have victory royales, and then also that's 50% win rate right now for Trashy and Pump.
Hey, as far as their performance is concerned, I understand entirely why we keep seeing the double thumbs up by the end of it. But this was also quite the journey for them to make, because this zone pulling towards that southeast side of Faulty Splits, I mean, they're going all the way from the start of North Citadel. And so the fact that they're able to make that rotation, find an opportunity to take over that high ground, maintain the high ground opportunities until they can actually play into those low ground segments. I just cannot say how much impressed, or it's just impressive watching them go.
I love the fact that you mentioned high ground right there, because again, we've seen one of these games where Mac went threats. Yeah, they keep going for it right there. Though. When they took it, I think it was like first movement zone. He had 40 bills. I was like, Mac would like, surely you can't stay up there for long. And then surely right after, Trashy and Pump were found up there, and he had like 100 builds himself. So just so clean for them, and way to ride that out easily.
Yeah, and those final few moments in the last game, like just watching their play, they're so, though there's chaos, because like, man, it was chaotic for just a short bit. They were controlled, right? They got separated, and it was just expertly like, we have to just separate, we meet right here, and then we close out this game. So impressive from the duo. Another duo, Yamzo and Rise, they're moving up, right? They're trying to break into that top 3. They just want to make sure they go straight to grand finals.
Yeah, I mean, listen, low ground's looking pretty solid for them, and another team surprisingly so. I mean, we're in the 8th zone right now, only 1 elimination. Not sure how they're making it this far, getting no refreshes, no eliminations when it comes to Storm Surge, but, you know, staying on the backside of zone, they know that they can find so many players here